Hey folks, we're going to do some game design tonight. We're working on the Bastion campaign, playing with Sieges and Sabotages tonight, resolving the Bastion conflict system that we're including with the Bastion Campaigns supplement that will be published on DMsGuild. Give me a second here to check my signal, and then I'm going to do some quick social boasting, and then we'll get to work for a couple hours. So I'm not sure how long I need to run tonight to make stuff fly, but we'll do it. So hold on real quick. Let's see. It looks like we're up, and mic check, 1, 2, 3. Up, and yeah, that volume sounds pretty good. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and grab that. Most of the time, people do like social media postings and stuff in the background, and you see like a countdown or whatever until the stream goes live, so that they have a grace period to be able to publish stuff while, you know, once we actually get to like the link to be able to notify about live stream and stuff like that. But I'm apparently not that elegant, so I'm trying to distract you while I press a whole bunch of buttons to fire through my social media posting. So let me say, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I'm creating content here for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the 2024 mechanics. We're actually focusing today on the new Bastion system that was published in the DMG 2024. Yeah, like was that in November? Anyway, I had already been developing a siege and warfare sort of system that allows you to build communities and strongholds and stuff like that, actually using 5e game mechanics. And when the Bastion system came out, it's like, well, I guess that's the direction they're going in with this. So let's make sure the stuff that we build works with the Bastion system that they had created, so that it's relevant and compliant with, you know, 2024 tech. So thus be born the Bastion campaign system. So let me, that's the end of my bump. So let me fix my screen here real quick and say, if you think this stuff is interesting, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we are live in the future. And here's a playlist of, here's a stack of books that I've already created on the DMsGuild. They're all free preview. Read them cover to cover. Shit, run a full 20 level campaign if you want. If you think that there's anything valuable here, make a purchase to encourage similar behavior in the future. And here's the playtest, true to form, making things available. Here is the playtest document that we're actively using right now. For you, again, you can just click here. It'll take you into the Google Doc. You, audience, will be able to view this as a read-only document. You can look. Once it's on the DMsGuild, I'll be including it on my link of stuff down here, along with all the other things that we're building right now. And again, you'll have the option to use this as much as you want. And if you find value in it, God bless you. I appreciate your help. So, yeah, Bastion Campaigns, that where we're sitting right now. I'm going to actually pluck this from the rest of the stack. And this is actually artwork from the Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica that we created, where otherworldly patrons are presented as the 10 guilds of Ravnica and the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica setting. That is actually linked. Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica. There you go. You can click this link and look through that entire book, just like all the other ones. And if you think it's cool, I made all the artwork myself, which is something that I do. I make games and then I illustrate them and I publish them, and I hope people think they're cool. But today specifically, so I can stop rambling, God please stop me from rambling, we're going to play in the space down here. Actually, I don't need hardly any of this. I'm going to leave some of these things in place here, and we're going to, I think off screen, I'm going to take the time to trim all the stuff that we don't need in here anymore, so it's a cleaner document and easier read for people. We've redesigned facilities to incorporate all the facilities have a mix of facility benefits that make your Bastion more effective in helping you do things. There's downtime activities which characters can perform instead of going out on an adventure. They can spend a Bastion turn at the facilities that they have installed to be able to build perks or like extra feats or bonuses or expertise or stuff like that for the characters. And then beyond that, there's orders that you can issue, which is presented in the Bastion system in the DMG. There are a number of orders that you can issue to each facility, and we've codified what like how to issue orders, what benefits you get from the like how does those orders operate inside of your Bastion for you doing things. How many can be issued depending on the rank, the kind of benefits that you get here, and then the basic orders breaking down like how crafting works with your Bastion, like a codified system, so you can take any item from the player's handbook or the DMG and know what do you need to do that, and if any complications arise, how we can resolve those, so you can create nuggets like adventure hooks for your characters to go resolve problems that arise from making stuff. And then we also have so crafting either individual non-magical items or manufacturing or mass producing large groups of objects, like for armies and stuff like that, equipping armies. Empowering is making magic items based on the rarity, time, and costs associated with them. Very, very simple system. There, it's all like in this 2 paragraphs of space here. Like we got, like it almost fits on 1 page. Here, let me roll back a little bit. Yeah, all the rules for making magic items fit on 1 page. All the rules for manufacturing items, it actually takes more pages. It's what, 1.5 pages for the crafting rules, including manufacturing and large mass production. Harvesting, as in gathering materials. Maintaining is establishing a lifestyle for your Bastion as a way to resolve all of the math of abacus and arithmetics that you do not want to deal with as a player or as a DM in your campaign. Instead, just make it. This is actually themed off of the modern D20 RPG that was released in 3rd edition, where they used a wealth resource, which was an ability check. And if you hit the ability check, you can afford it. If you can't hit the ability check, you can't. This is basically folding that idea into the different lifestyles to establish how well are you being able to produce things. Let's see. Extending the lifestyles to be able to sustain them. And then we have recruiting for bringing monsters and NPCs into your organization. And then research is finding out information. These are all the standard research topics that are raised in the DMG, but we're just codifying them so that you understand the scaffolding that's involved. And everything that you can do in the DMG, you can do in this system as well, but we provide you a duplicatable system so that you can create your own facilities and have them be balanced with all the other ones. Trading is acquiring items, magic items, or materials to create things. Hey, Steve. And we have variant orders and unique orders. And okay, so franchising and settlements, we're going to get back to those today. So today we're going to work on, we want to go down to Bastion Conflicts. Here we go. Bastion Conflicts, Sieges and Sabotage. This is the area that we're working on today. And so we'll resolve Bastion Conflicts today. I think we can get it resolved today. And if we have time, we'll continue working on clarifying Bastion events and complications. But the other thing that we also need to mess around with is franchises and settlements. So if everything goes well, we'll work on franchising and settlements on Thursday when we pick this project up. And then we're just going to fill in our time with the events and complications, because the settlements is going to be about the same level of mechanical depth as we have for Bastion Conflicts, and complications are easy in comparison. So we're gonna lead with conflicts, and then if we have time, finish up with events and complications, and then Thursday we'll pick up with settlements, franchises, and settlements, and then we'll fill in the rest of our time to resolve events and complications. And then if we haven't fully resolved events and complications by then, on Monday next week when we come back, we'll finish up events and complications, and that will finish the book. The rules will be done. At that point, then we're just going to provide examples of like, how can you apply these to your campaign? What do those look like? What are different type of bastions that you can create. What does franchising look like? What does settlements look like? What does like, how do all these things work? Provide examples, lots of examples. Anyway, that's the idea. So yeah, let's get to work. We already have a decent idea of how Seasons in Sabotage is supposed to work. It's using the Bastion dice as our frame of reference. When you let's read through all this stuff to see if it all sits here. Yeah, we're talking about physical damage versus reputation damage. That's the difference between sieges and sabotage. Sieges is physical attacks on a location, whether it's a building or a settlement. It's a siege when you're sending troops to attack them. If it's reputation damage or physically disabling facilities in a bastion or disrupting the flow of commerce and activities inside of a settlement, that would be more along the lines of sabotage. But they both create conflict for the bastion, and they both damage the bastion. It's just the narrative of them is different, but the mechanics are basically the same. It's just a matter of how are you framing it. So, and which we'll get into examples of framing sieges versus sabotage when we get to building examples in the book. So that's what it's talking about when it mentions the difference between War Room being physical damage, while like the theater, for example, is right. Like the theater, you can create plays that are basically disparaging or doing reputation assassination against either individuals or businesses or governments. Both settlements, governments, and businesses and fortresses, those all fall underneath the Bastion umbrella in general. It's just a matter of is it a building, is it a series of buildings, is it a settlement, or is it like a government or like guild type institution? They're all basically built the same. It's just the narrative of how the resources are utilized that changes. So orders, we had here recruiting was initially how we were framing orders, as in recruiting troops to go attack, but we're actually breaking this out into being attack. You can issue the attack order. So we have the 7 orders above for facilities, but these are unique orders, which is you can issue the attack order to, if we're looking at, this is assassination. Attack. Let's go with sabotage. So, sorry, before I start getting Mike, we should probably actually go through the mechanics. And it doesn't take a ton. That's like 2 pages worth. There's 3 pages worth of mechanics here for us to resolve. So I suspect we're going to probably carve out half of it and probably add another 50% back in. So it's probably going to end up being about a page and a half worth of just raw mechanics, and that's all you really need. It's very simple. Once you break down how the 5e, like the D20 mechanics operate inside the 5e game engine, it's actually very, very easy. So I'm just going to read through everything with you guys here, and then I'm going, so I can refresh my memory on what we've built out so far. And normally when we do that, it triggers a bunch of caveats and whataboutisms that we as designers get to go through and resolve, so that we have a functioning game system that becomes fun. So framing this around sabotage, you can issue the attack order to hire propagandists to damage the reputation of a rival bastion or settlement. When you do, make a bastion test against the DC of the target bastion, determined by the rank of the target. If you are successful, you damage the facilities of the target bastion, reduce the number of bastion points of the target, reduce the number of bastion points of the target by the amount listed for the number of bastion points you've expended to improve the recruit. Listed for the rank of attack ordered by the Bastion. That's probably a better way of wording that. So Bastion rank 1 to 5. This is your target Bastion, rank 1 to 5. So the difficulty to damage the Bastion depends on the size of the organization. Like we've talked about this before. A rank 1 is like a mom and pop shoe shop, and 5 is like a mega corporation, or like the Boros Legion, or Azorius Senate in Ravnica, or like House Lyrandar in Eberron. It's continental, global, or even pan-dimensional in size. So huge that it's got thousands upon thousands of people that are in the organization. It takes a big hit to hurt them for more than a moment. So that's reflected in the default DCs. And then, let's see, the reduced rank is Bastion rank, and then attack. We'll just call it attack rank for now. Well, let's do it like this. Target rank and attack rank. When a Bastion loses Bastion points this way, the total number is temporarily reduced until they are repaired. First, remove any open Bastion points. We have a hierarchy down here. Let's just read through it because I know there's exceptions someplace. First, remove any open Bastion points. Any remaining damage is taken from facilities in the Bastion. Randomly choose which facility loses a point, or the DM can choose which facility is reduced. Until the points are repaired, the Bastion carries out orders as though those points don't benefit the Bastion. And again, each rank, you start with 1 point at first rank, and when you get to 10 points, your second rank, 20 points for third rank, 30 points for fourth rank, 40 or more points for fifth rank. And so when you deal enough damage to a Bastion to drop it by 10 points, or drop it down to the next rank, like the next bracket, the entire facility, the entire Bastion loses that rank. So you are depleting their flexibility on what they can do, and you're depleting the bonuses that they get on making the D20 tests to achieve those goals. So you're double hitting them. You can sabotage or siege a Bastion, targeting facilities and hirelings, damaging the Bastion points. When a Bastion is reduced to 0 hit points, it is demolished. And we have up top, we have a matrix that X amount of gold, like at rank 1 to 5, each Bastion point has a scaling cost in gold pieces, like its effective value. At first rank, a Bastion point is basically worth 100 gold pieces a pop. And by the time you get to 10th rank, you'll spend 1,000 gold, right? So now you're in second rank with 10 points, and each of those points costs 1,000 points each. And then when you get to 20 points, the cost upscales to 10,000, then 100,000. And then at 5th rank, it's literally 1,000,000 gold pieces for a Bastion point. Like the amount of wealth and resources and manpower and just accumulated power in 5th rank Bastions. It's big. It's big. So, man, I am tired today. I am going against my better judgment having some coffee. So let's see how loopy Phil can get. Attacking or sabotaging a Bastion, Bastion rank, attack modifier. Yeah, damage DC. We just saw that above. Here's your attack bonus. So if you're a first rank Bastion, you roll D4s and you add your rank. So it's a D20 plus D4 plus 1, and 5th rank it goes up to D12 plus 5, D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. These are proficiency dice. That was a variant rule in the DMG 2014. If you've seen Essence 20, like G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, Power Rangers, these are all built by Renegade Games. They leaned hard into proficiency dice. Like they have you roll multiple proficiency dice of different sizes and choose which ones you want to use or combine them together. They go hard. It's mechanically complicated. We're keeping it simple. 5e D&D 5e is meant to be simple, adding levels of complexity if you need. So the Bastion system that's in the DMG is the most simple version of it that they could produce. And it's basically social interaction, what you want to do. There's no checks involved with it. You just automatically do it. So it's incredibly limited in scope and what it lets you do, since there's no risk of failure in the DMG. But we've rebuilt the system to be ability checks as like an exploration or like a skill challenge, where you can fail your die roll, and if you succeed, carry on, the task is fine. But if you fail the die roll, it creates complications. And in the case of warfare, if you take a shot at somebody and you fail, it's going to cost you troops, resources. It creates complications for yourself that might need to be resolved, which we'll look into as we continue developing. So, and again, we're talking about a first rank Bastion has up to 9 points, and then it becomes second rank as DC. It's very easy to tear down a single proprietorship, but it gets more difficult, as we were saying, as you scale up in as the operation scales up. So when you get to 10 Bastion points, your second rank DC 15. At 20 points, your third rank with 20 DC. At fourth rank, you've got at least 30 points with a DC of 25 to damage it. And at fifth rank, you've got at least 40 points, and you have to hit a DC 30 to be able to damage them. So a fifth rank Bastion attacking a fifth rank Bastion would roll a D20 plus D12 plus 5, creating a range from 7 to 37. So 37 is your top end. You've basically got roughly a 25% chance of failing. I'm sorry, it'd be a 30 to 37 out of potential 7 to 37. That's a 30-point split. 7 is your minimum. 14, 21, 28. And then so we're looking at 30, so it's roughly a 25% chance. 20, sorry, only 7, minimum is 7, that's right. So 14, 21, 28 plus. So it's roughly a 25% chance. You've got a 75% chance of failing an attack if you are a 5th rank Bastion attacking another 5th rank Bastion. There's a 75% chance that you're going to fail. So it's really difficult to damage them once they get high rank. Lower rank are pretty easy to damage, and the amount of damage they can take is minimal. Again, a second rank Bastion only has anywhere from 10 to 19 points. Let's say it has 19 points, and you get attacked by another second rank Bastion. It's going to roll a d6, the damage DC, and the damage, defense modifier, Bastion points, DC. I think I'm getting ahead of myself because I said I was going to read through the whole thing, but damage DC, and then like damage dealt is going to be 1D, again, 1D4, 1D6, 1D8, 1D10, and 1D12. I really think we should add in the modifier there. Because a first rank Bastion should never be dealing as much damage as a 5th rank Bastion could. Like, it's a rounding error. Like, literally the first rank Bastion's ability is a rounding error to a 5th rank Bastion. That feels appropriate. A 4th rank Bastion can still take a shot at you. Roll a d20 plus d10 plus 4. You could get a 34. It's possible that you'll roll that high. But you're basically only have a 20% chance of success. And then once you get down to here, you're looking at a d20 plus a d8 plus the best that a 3rd rank Bastion can do is a 31. So you've basically got like a 1%, like a 1.5% chance of a 3rd rank Bastion doing any meaningful damage to a 5th rank Bastion. But a 5th rank Bastion can bring the hammer down on anybody, just crush you. 17 points that could end a 2nd rank Bastion in one shot. And you can issue multiple orders per round. So you could have, like a 5th rank Bastion could order 6 orders, could issue 6 orders to deal damage, but every time you issue an additional order, it downgrades the roll that you make from D12 to a, it'll always be a plus, like a 5th rank Bastion will always be a +5, but it becomes a D12, D10, D8, D6, D4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. If you order 5 orders to attack Bastions, or even the same Bastion, in one turn, you're going to have depreciating returns, and every time one of these low die rolls fails, it creates a complication, because the DC doesn't go down. If you're attacking a 5th rank Bastion, it stays 30. And at some point, it becomes pointless to even attempt it. Like a D4 +5 cannot succeed at damaging a 5th rank Bastion. A D6 +5 can, but again, it's only a 1% chance. A D8 +5 could. But it's only a 33, so you only have like a 10% chance of damaging a 5th rank Bastion. 3% chance, and then what here? It's like a 25% chance. This is like a 14% chance here. Because you could have at best a 34, so you're highly unlikely to succeed there. It's difficult. The higher rank you get, the more dangerous. The less you're able to disrupt the apple cart, you know. And that just narratively that is consistent with logic. Like if you want to destroy like Microsoft, good freaking luck. It's not going to happen. It's like you would have to wage a war against Microsoft for years of litigation just to start denting them. That's how powerful they are. So if the attack is equal to or above damage DC, the attack modifier is the amount of damage dealt. The attack modifier. That's how we were looking at this originally. Oh, yeah. The attack modifier is the amount of damage dealt. Max attackers each require. This is your damage modifier. Right. And max attackers each require a separate maintain order to remain organized if they disband. That's just a side note. But if you're sending troops out to go attack something someplace, you have to have a supply chain to keep the troops, to provide infrastructure for your army as it's roaming. That gets translated into a maintain action as well. So you have to maintain a lifestyle for your Bastion, and if you send an army out to attack something, you also have to maintain a lifestyle for the troops. Because if you have less than a poor level lifestyle, they're going to be at disadvantage. They're going to disband. They're going to bail on you because they're starving. They got better things to do than fight your army. They're going to bail on you. Recruit time, I can feel depth there. There's mechanical depth to that. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to put some notes in here. Must spend order for each army to sustain a supply chain to maintain a lifestyle for the army. And each time you issue an order, it's going to be to a separate battalion, like to a separate army or separate battalion. You can only issue one order. You can only order one issue per army. You can only issue one attack order per army per Bastion turn. If you want to issue additional orders, if you want multiple, or easiest way to word this, multiple orders require multiple troops. Armies. And army is just a ubiquitous term for troops. Troops on the march. Defending the Bastion. Bastion rank. Bastion points. Damage DC. Defender modifier. Some facilities allow you to issue an order to defend the Bastion. The results of the Bastion test replaces the damage DC if higher. So you have, like, if I'm a 3rd rank Bastion and I've got like barracks and an armory and a war room, then I have a lot of facilities that help defend or attack other bastions. And so I could say a 3rd rank bastion. I know my defense for my bastion is 30. If I actually actively defend, like patrolling and blah, 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 when I issue my bastion, when I issue the order, I make my D20 tests. I'm going to be rolling a D20 plus D8 plus 3, just like I normally would for a 3rd rank bastion doing stuff. And if the result is above 20, we use the higher result. Otherwise, it's going to be at least a 20. So we have the ability, like that 5th rank bastion that rolls a D12 plus 5. I could kick my armor class for that turn all the way up to 37. And you'd have to roll a natural 20 and a natural 12 on your 5th rank bastion check to be able to do any damage at all. Some facilities allow you to issue an order to defend the bastion. The result of the bastion test replaces the damage of the DC. When defending a bastion, you can issue 1 maintain order for free to do so. Actually, no, that would be your passive defenses. I'm going to take that away. You can. When you can issue up to 1 order to defend a bastion per turn, keeping the result if higher than the bastion DC, which is a little redundant because we just mentioned that, but here we are being redundant. You can issue any number of additional maintain orders available to defend, keep the highest roll. No, so we're getting rid of that. If the result is less than the damage DC, oh yeah, that's a good point. And there's risk, so if the result is less than the damage DC, if the result is less than the defense DC, that's how we should write that, not damage DC, but is less than the defense DC, you risked and you failed your gamble. Something goes wrong. So we'll be able to create we need to create complications. So that means that the complication system is going to have to come after the conflict system. So let's just grab this whole cloth. Let's just grab it and port it. I think conflicts should come after settlements. Yeah. So you have bastions, facilities, and then settlements and franchises, and then conflicts, and then events and complications, and then the appendix. And then samples, and then the appendix. Or maybe appendix 2 will be examples. Maybe we'll have the appendix 1 be items and magic item breakdown for creation, and then appendix 2 be examples like sample bastions. Like we could do like Simic, we could do Lyrandar, we could do Robin Hood, we could do Waterdeep, we could do yeah, because those are all huge things. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll have cool little examples of stuff. Okay, cool. So we fed this in. Each army sustained defending. If the result is less, regardless of the result, the defense modifier rolled reduces the attacker's damage roll by the result. Do I want to keep that? Regardless of the result, the defense modifier rolled reduces the attacker's damage by the rolled result. Okay, so that's double tapping. So in combat, you make your attack roll, and if you hit, you roll your damage roll. We have passive armor class, and then we have a defense roll, which can improve your armor class. If you fail the roll, then you create a complication, but you still have the default armor class when you're making an attack. If you hit, you deal damage. If you miss, if you fail, you create a complication. So I need to put notation here. So attack and defense is basically mirrors each other. It's the exact same process. This is, am I attacking or am I defending? So the initial idea was, as you can read here, is if I make the die roll, whatever the result is, that is, so not only does the attacker need to hit the DC, but also has to roll more damage than the Bastion absorbs. And that's too complicated. I think that's stacking up too much. It should just be a single die roll. It's always just a single die roll to succeed or fail, and then what's your degree of success. That's how D&D 5e works. So I want to remove this, but there is, so it's the armor class itself that prevents you from taking damage, and if they hit you, you will take damage. It will disable things. And then you have to issue the repair order to fix it. So an ongoing siege, you could have this bounce between I damage you, you repair it, I damage you, you repair it, I damage you, you repair it. This is an ongoing system, but it's always from the player's perspective. So I'm thinking about narrative and order of operations. Because if you're already damaged, when you make a repair, you can issue as many orders to repair as you want, and it has a depleting return die. So the damage modifier is like D12 plus 5, and then the repair order would be D12 plus 5 as well. The advantage is in favor of the defender, because the defender can continue to issue repair orders, and those will stack. So D12 plus 5 is there is no and repair work, just like so we don't currently have any we don't have a die roll. Like you can't succeed or fail at repairs. It just happens, which is contrary to the rest of the system. The way that it's currently designed is if I issue a repair order, it will automatically restore defense modifier worth of Bastion points. I'm thinking that through. I could add complications. I don't think that feels right though. I think the only time that complications should come up is if you actively defend yourself and something goes wrong, or if you're making an attack. Something could always go wrong if you attack. And in the case of attacking, if something goes wrong, it's going to basically deplete you're going to take damage instead. Maybe that's how it works. If you fail, you'll take die roll equal to the rank of the defending Bastion, and it deals that many points of damage to your army, because your army effectively is becoming its own franchise when you do this. That's a good point. That's the franchising rules. So let's kick on through here. That's a really good point. An army that you send off to attack somebody else becomes it becomes its own bastion, a temporary franchise. That's actually really important. Settlements and armies. Armies are to create an army. The Bastion must maintain, must create a franchise that represents the army. Army. It has its own allocation. It has its own supply. It has its own pool of bastion points. Bastion points, rank, and lifestyle that must be maintained. If an army loses enough bastion points to reduce its rank, those troops are lost. This is kind of bending the line between franchise language and combat language. It's kind of the same, so I'm going to have to figure out how to parse that out. But this is a true statement regardless of where it sits. If an army loses enough bastion points to reduce its rank, that those troops are lost. The points represent lost troops and cannot be what? Yeah, I was gonna say, what the hell is going on with my border? Represent lost troops and cannot be repaired. Cannot be repaired, but instead recruit. But instead, Bastion can issue order to recruit replacement troops to restore the army's rank of power. There, that's pretty straightforward. I'm going to grab that. We're going to end up dropping it down in here because it's going to become relevant when we do repair stuff. Yeah, repairing damaged bastions. God, I like this system. It's so easy. I love how easy it is. So there's the base there. Defense. Once we have all this laid out, then we're going to start restructuring. I just want to walk through this stuff to see, again, what gets inspired for add-ons. Here we are, defending. Some facilities allow you to issue an order to defend Bastion. Recruiting and maintaining soldiers. This should probably be up here in the... Yeah. Okay, repairing damage. The damaged Bastion can issue the maintain order to repair facilities. Yeah, it's important that we take it out of maintain, because unless you're sustaining, because every time you issue the same order again, it reduces the proficiency die that you get to use, although the Bastion level remains the same. D12, D10, D8, D6, D4, no. Excuse me, talking a lot makes me yawn. I'm not breathing enough. Breathe more. One maintain order to repair a Bastion die plus rank of damage each week. It is the maintain order specifically so that we, where if you're a 5th rank guild and you're rolling a D12 to maintain a lifestyle for the organization, if you've used that maintain order to maintain the lifestyle at the D12, the order to repair is going to be reduced down to a D10, and then subsequent orders to repair D8, D6, D4, and then no die at all. And it would just be, your rank. Damage per order. We're going to go with the D4 +1. Yeah, we're going to keep the +1. We have to keep the +1 modifier in there because if we grind the dice down to 0, there still has to be some sort of mod. +3. +4. Hey, I see text over there. Give me a hot second for me to resolve this. What's up? 1, 2, 3, 4. Uchi, what up? Am I sure about what, my man? I'm pretty confident in this. It's a train wreck right now, but I am pretty confident. A Bastion can issue an order to attack a rival through War Room without the army being present. If the Bastion, if there's a way to maintain communication, right? I do not need a War Room. I just need to be able to. A Bastion can issue an order to attack a rival if there is a way. The Bastion and the army. Otherwise, the army operates independently as a franchise. And we do not recruit troops to attack. Issue order to attack a rival. Defense is no order, but still a Bastion check. We scrapped that. We did make an order. Damage by rank of force. We have that language. A Bastion can issue an order to attack a rival through the War Room. This seems like it's just a duplicate, so we'll probably trim that out. To siege a rival, you must issue a separate order to maintain a lifestyle for the attacked troops to remain willing to fight. If the check drops below poor, they mutiny and disperse. Once the lifestyle is maintained, issue a separate order to siege attack. When establishing control of a bastion or settlement, if the target is unwilling, Sabotage can remove the current government and replace it with your own when the current ruling bastion is destroyed. So that's like coups, performing a coup. It wouldn't be a siege. It could be a siege if the current government is resisting and starts presenting troops to attack to defend itself. Then it may become a siege. But again, you can perform a coup either physically, by killing hirelings, or you can cause an overthrow by basically destroying their reputation. Though I suspect that would always end up becoming bloodshed. If you destroy their reputation to the point they lose power. No, they would lose power. They would be usurped. And then they would have to muster forces for themselves to then retaliate against the coup. That is actually the proper order of operations. So I'm going to go ahead and make a note of that here real quick. Because coups happen. Coup equals sabotage against current government. Can be physical, siege, or attacking the... No, you're right. No, this would specifically be sabotage. Coup equals sabotaging current government without damaging settlement facilities. You take out the leadership, but leave the diamond mine intact. So after you've defeated the government, you take control of the diamond mine and you start producing diamonds, for instance. An overthrown a government can either resist a coup is sabotage current government without damaging settlement facilities. Siege equals physically damaging settlement facilities. Usurped government must. Usurped government can defend against attack, but if defeated, becomes if defeated is separated from the settlement and must recruit an army to siege, or must recruit hirelings to siege or sabotage the new regime. As a foreign bastion. Essentially, you're replacing the government, so if any remnants of the government that remains then can form their own bastion to counterattack to try to reclaim it. But it's always defaulting towards the attacker if they succeed. Order of damage. Oh, here we go. Order of damage is first any floating bastion points that are unused. Those go first. And then any points that are used to sustain. You don't have to roll your lifestyle every bastion turn if you invest additional points. Basically tapping points like Magic the Gathering. You tap points to sustain the lifestyle that you've established, and depending on the size of the rank of your bastion determines how long that bastion can sustain the lifestyle that they've gained. And in that sense, it's kind of like defending your bastion, that you have set DCs to hit different levels of lifestyle, and if you're sustaining a lifestyle already, you can spend orders to take a shot to try to improve it, but at worst, it's going to maintain its own. But if you fail, it's going to create a complication because you expended resources without successfully improving anyone's lifestyle. So that creates complications. And it may end up being that when we go through this, that we create specific, like unique lists based on what type of orders you're issuing, beyond just the vague crafting order creates X complications. So I guess we could have like general complications. And then, man, maybe we could add like a complication per facility. Like your demi-plane complications would be different from your archive complications, but then I guess you have to be able to issue an order in the first place, and if a facility doesn't specifically issue orders, then it wouldn't have any specific complications. But that's why we're going to spend a separate session on events and complications to flesh that stuff out, to whack those weeds. Armies. To create an army, the bastion must create a franchise that represents the army. Has its own pool of bastion points, rank, and lifestyle that must be. You can basically the franchise rules above, which are below now. Above? Wait, settlement? Is that where we're at? Settlement? Bastion events and complications. Settlements are above. That's right. Settlements and then conflicts and then events and complications. What was I saying? Right. So anytime you want to create a franchise, you're basically just peeling off bastion points off of the parent organization and basically just declaring this is a new bastion, and it now has its own pool of points. And if the parent bastion wants to remain in control of that franchise, you have to commit an order basically to be able to sustain it, keeping a hand on it by using your own bastion points to retain control over that franchise. And that's typically one bastion point per additional order. So you could theoretically have a fifth rank guild or a fifth rank bastion with 40 some odd points and just farms out all 40 of those points to subsidiaries. So that the main bastion itself is just basically a shell corporation. that doesn't actually have any substance unto itself, but it uses all of its points to basically govern other bastions, that allows it to have far more orders and far more bastion points, resources, and armies than what that single bastion could have unto itself. And that's the essence of what franchising is creating this cascade level of control underneath you. But if you ever have a bastion that's the same, if you have a subsidiary that's the same rank as the parent, then that subsidiary is going to potentially, a complication that arises is that it performs its own coup, or rather it breaks off and forms an independent, like, you're not so big that you're better than us anymore, so we're going to break away, gain independence from your parent organization, become a rival. So if you allow a subsidiary bastion to accumulate a number of bastion points that would allow them to equal or even exceed your current rank, you lose control of them because they are now your equal, not subservient to you. So that's an interesting little nuance of the franchising system. Settlements themselves don't have that. The bastion is basically the government of the settlement, and the settlement is a special facility that allows to be a very large area that you can use to harvest materials from, and to allow unrelated or even subsidiary bastions to establish presence inside of that settlement under the protection of the parent organization, which is like the government. So a little bit of a narrative shell game there, but that seems appropriate for a shell corporation, doesn't it? Bastion events. Okay, so that's all the language that we actually have for Bastion conflicts. So taking all of that, let's actually rewind this back. What all components do we now have? Let's see. Forming an army. Wait. You only have to form an army if you're sieging. If you're attempting to sabotage is generally performed by a small group of individuals that can maneuver far more than what an army can, and is more of a surgical strike than just a blunt object, a blunt force. So like commandos or propagandists, assassins, that would be sabotage, as opposed to like sending in 500 troops on horseback to start burning down village, like start burning down homes and stuff. That would be siege. Two differences there. But they both whittle down bastion points. It's just the narrative that goes along with it. Bastion conflicts, sieges. So what are we doing? So creating a siege. So we don't have to. Okay, so we should really think about that. Sieges can deal large amounts of damage, but sabotage can character assassinate. So does sieges and sabotage, do they deal the same amount of bastion points worth of damage? It's just applied in a different way. I think reflexively I can say yes. But there is a shred in my mind that says maybe sabotage should deal less damage than a siege does, because sieges actively destroy stuff, while sabotages, again, are surgical. If I were to do that, it would be like, would it just be the rank? Sieges currently deal bastion die plus bastion rank worth of bastion points per round to destroy. A sabotage could. That's a good point. So you have to establish a separate bastion as a franchise to be able to muster and maintain the logistics needed to supply a whole army. So Bastion points are in place. It makes sense since it's framed as a Bastion that it would be rolling Bastion points, Bastion die plus rank and damage. However, Sabotage does not require a separate franchise to operate. You have spies or assassins or a theater troupe that's damaging the reputation or trust of a Bastion, of its leadership. That's essentially how it gets framed. So you don't have to worry about sustaining a separate Bastion altogether to attempt sabotaging somebody. Since the risk is less, the reward should be less. So I think maybe getting rid of the Bastion die and just going with your rank is the amount of damage that you can deal, maybe that would make sense. And since you don't have to maintain a whole bunch of separate Bastions, you could order a cascade of orders, but I still have to hit your DC. So a 5th rank Bastion attacking another 5th rank Bastion has to hit a DC 30 to be able to damage the reputation at all. 5th rank Bastion would deal 5 points. If I issue the Sabotage order again, it's supposed to cascade down. So a siege condition would be a D12 plus 5, D10 plus 5, D8 plus 5, D6 plus 5, D4 plus 5. And after we whittle through all those dice, if I'm still throwing pain at them, it would just be plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. However many orders I can sustain doing that. Or maybe, Okay, so there's, If a franchise equals the level of the parent Bastion, it deals it breaks away and becomes independent. That would mean that if an army becomes its own franchise, representing its own supply chains and stuff like that, a 5th rank Bastion would be capable of creating a 5th rank army, but that means that army is immediately equal in rank to the parent Bastion and would potentially perform a coup or operate independently. So that tells me, so we have a conflict there. If I'm going to call an army a Bastion unto itself, then we have to have rules about maybe an army either an army caps, because if I only have a 1st rank Bastion and I muster up some guys to go rough up another shop, it could potentially not be a D4. It would only be one if I'm downgrading if a 1st rank Bastion attacks another Bastion and it can't equal the same rank, then it's going to downgrade and would only deal 1 Bastion point per order issued. And a 1st rank Bastion can at best issue 2 orders without expending additional Bastion points to do so. And a 1st rank Bastion can't produce franchises because it's already 1st rank. So that tells me that you can't, logically then that means that you can't break. I like the idea of if you build a Bastion that's of equal rank to the parent Bastion, it basically leaves the nest and becomes its own thing. That breaks down with the army. We could potentially make it so that you have to be a higher rank than the parent Bastion, but 5th rank is the highest rank. So instead, maybe the order instead is if a Bastion has more Bastion points than its parent Bastion, then it breaks away because it literally has more resources now than its parent company. It is truly an equal. Even though they're the same rank, they could be considered peers, but one would remain superior to the other because it has more. I think that works. I think that makes sense. So as long as the parent bastion has more resources than its subsidiaries, those subsidiaries remain loyal to its parent. But as soon as they have I'm thinking it's either more bastion points or an equal number of bastion points. It's subtle, but it matters. Let's see. See, this is minutia. This stuff's important. It's actually important. Settlements. Franchises can break free. Settlements cannot. Settlements have to have a government. The government is effectively the bastion. The settlement, the physical space of the settlement, is technically a type of facility within the bastion, even though it's bigger than the bastion itself. It's kind of meta. Let's see. If a subsidiary, if a franchise exceeds the number of bastion points its parent, let's see, if a franchise accumulates more bastion points than the parent bastion possesses, it breaks free from, it becomes a rival. It becomes a rival. It could be a friendly rival that they work together, but it operates independently. Eventually, it accumulates more bastion points than the parent. Yeah. It becomes a rival bastion. So if I have 50 points as a 5th rank bastion and I pump 50 points into an army, that army is going to be a monster. But aside from that, if that army accumulates 51 points, it would potentially perform a coup against the recruiting bastion. If a bastion takes damage, subsidiaries may sense that as a sign of weakness and then take the opportunity to break free and become rivals while that bastion is down. So that's a big threat. So you don't want to form franchises that are too strong. Otherwise, if you take a hit, you'll lose control of them. That's a good point. Good point. So there's forming, let's see, difference between sieges and sabotage. Up front, you gotta have differences between sieges and sabotage. I'm using these bullet points here as mile markers for subjects of conversation that need to be resolved, right? Differences between sieges and sabotage. Attacking and defending, damaging a bastion, repairing a bastion. Damage and repairing. Damage and repair. So difference between sieges and sabotage: attacking and defending, damaging and repairing. I think that makes sense. Okay, so Sieges, Sabotage, attacking, defending, damaging, repairing. Yeah. Like that. This is the process. Blah, blah, blah. Flavor text. There's two types of conflicts. There. Sieges. Sabotage. Whether the attack is by siege or sabotage, the process to attack and defend is the same. Bastion Conflicts, Sieges, and Sabotage. No, yeah, 13, yeah. 13, and this should be 16. Right now we're just structuring stuff. Come on, mouse. Work with me, buddy. Bold. Let's just finish the scaffold here real quick just to make things neat. Whether the attack is by siege or sabotage, the process to attack and defend is the same. Work on my microphone here. Damaging and repairing. When an attack is successful, let's go with blah, blah, blah. Flavor text. Below is info about damaging and repairing bastions. Hey, what's up? Are you considering the number of NPCs in place to enact repairs and modifying the number to be rolled based on that. It's the larger the higher rank your Bastion gets, generally the more hirelings you have, whether it's forming an army or working in your facilities. And the rank of your Bastion determines the number of points that can be damaged and repaired at any given issue, any given order issued. So it's not hardwired to the amount of troops, but the amount of troops or workers involved is implied inside the rank that you're operating, like the order, the rank of the order that you're issuing. Yeah, it's alluded to. It's intentionally vague. So if the DM wants to frame it around, you've got like 50 giants that are attacking the city, the DM could decide that's worth 3,000 men, something like that. However you want to scale it. The CR of the creature has a rank, and the amount of troops has a rank, like half CR soldier troops, right? And we could, we've talked about this in previous episodes. We could dive into the depth of how many creatures of CR 6 is worth how many troops of CR 1 versus half versus a quarter, blah, blah, blah. You could cascade it like that, and we can make notes about that, but I don't want it to be a hard number, because the DM should be able, because like if you're operating at the army level where you're sending 5,000 troops to burn down a city, your characters aren't going to be attacking 5,000 troops round by round with 2 attacks and a bonus action or whatever. It's, if you want to fight off that level of a horde, you need to have defending troops to be able to push them away. And that's basically how your characters get involved with the Bastion mechanics, that if your characters are physically, like, personally leading an army against a rival, like everything else that the players invest their time into, it then becomes your character's ability check, and then you add the Bastion die on top of their own ability check, just like you would a Bardic Inspiration die. So if my 17th level character is leading an army of 50,000 troops as a 5th rank Bastion against, I don't know, let's say we take a legion of angels into hell to fight in the blood war, say for Avernus, like in Descent to Avernus, for example. If we're 5th rank, we could have 40,000 angels with us, and when we issue our command, 17th level character, we're going to do a D20 plus 6, because we're probably going to be proficient in what we're trying to do. Let's make it, let's be flexible. So like, let's say it's a charisma check to be able to inspire your troops, and you're a high level bard. So let's say you're rocking a DC 20, obviously going to have like a 20 charisma. So that'll be a plus 5. So you've got your D20 plus your proficiency plus 6 plus your charisma plus 5. And then because you're leading a 5th rank army of angels, you're adding a D12 on top of it. So you D20 plus 11 plus a D12. So you could potentially hit a 22. You could potentially hit a 42 on that die roll. And if you're fighting the blood war, if you're just hitting the blood war in general, that's going to be a 5th rank defense. The armor class that you have to hit is a DC 30. So that legion of angels with your potential 42 die roll, it's got basically a 50-50 chance of wounding the abyss, because they're going to throw 50,000 Lemur or whatever at you to defend against it. And if you damage them, then your legion of angels is going to be dealing a D12 plus 5 points of damage to it. And a 5th rank Bastion, a 5th rank defense could potentially be knocked down to 36 points, which will take them from 5th rank down to 4th rank. Or you could say this 5,000 mile stretch of land covered by the demon forces of the blood war has 200 Bastion points across its whole, and you could then break it down into subsects. Like there's like 7 Marilith that are leading this 200 points worth of Bastion points of blood war army. You've got 7 Marilith commanders. They're each taking like, say, 65 points apiece. It'd probably actually be more like 200 divided by 7. Yeah, that would actually be like 32 points each. Something, no, 28. So yeah, that would only be that'd be a 3rd rank army, which is a CR of. Hold on, now I'm curious. What is the CR of a 3rd rank army? CR 3rd rank CR max is. I'm actually really curious about this right now, so give me a minute. You got me geeking out here real quick over my own system. Up to CR, that'd be up to CR9. So a 3rd rank could be CR9. What is the rank of a Merilith? I think a Merilith is a CR12. Because I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but now let's look at the actual map to see how that fucking works. CR16. So Meriliths are 5th rank. That seems appropriate. So 5th rank is going to be at minimum 40. So it wouldn't be 7 Merilith across 200. It would be, to have Merilith commanders, you would have to have at least 40 points. Because 40 points is where you get at to get 5th rank. 1 point, 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, 40 or more points. So a 200 rank army, a 200 Bastion point army would have like maybe 4 Merilith commanders. Each has 50 points, for instance. Yeah, that probably makes sense. So then you could attack each Merilith separately, each battalion in that army separately, or you could attempt to attack it all as the same group. The difficulty will be the same. It's just a matter of how effective are you going to be. If you don't divide and conquer the army, you're fighting the fucking blood war. You're not going to defeat the Abyss as a whole. You have to select a target inside the Abyss. I'm going to attack this battalion specifically because I got to fucking start somewhere. So now your Legion of Angels is attacking a specific Merilith general's army. And if you defeat that Merilith's army, you've now torn out 50 points from that 5,000 mile chunk of the Blood War. They only have 150 points left. Then the question becomes, can you hole out that 5,000 mile spread of Blood War before it fills back in with Lemur and other, eventually a new Merilith will arrive and take control of the situation and regain the status quo. So I guess once we finish this, we'll be able to use an example of like Descent into Avernus with Elturel being like straddling the river Styx. How, like, what's the size of the armies that are there? Descent into Avernus already tells us who your army generals are and what kind of troops they have available to them. We could break that down and build Bastion armies out of that, of the devils holding off the demon armies, and then Elturel itself is its own Bastion that's attacking both of them. So yeah, good framework. Hey Fox, how you doing? But yeah, being able to actually break, like, we can break down Waterdeep point by point into, like, it's a 5th rank Bastion itself, but it has like 9 districts, and each of those districts themselves is probably going to be 3rd or 4th rank, maybe 4th or 5th rank unto themselves. So Waterdeep as a government is basically a shell corporation that then has each of the districts in Waterdeep is like a franchise of 5th rank inside of Waterdeep as a whole. And then you can further break it down, like the Wharf District. Well, there's the Wharf District, and there's like umpteen dozen storehouses and docks and pubs and taverns and shops and blah, blah, blah in the Wharf District. And then you could break those down into individual points. And as long as none of those points are outclocking the Wharf District as a whole, the Wharf District can maintain control and like governance over all these different bastions and facilities. So we can actually break down the math of it and look at how these points are distributed. So if you wanted to attack Waterdeep, you have an idea of how many bastion points of damage you need to be able to do to, like, say, this particular block of street. You can just basically parse out how much space is that occupying and how are we dividing our points up into that. So you could just grid Waterdeep, and each grid would have X amount of bastion points in them. So you could attack Waterdeep square by square, like 500 foot by 500 foot steps, tearing apart like 30 bastion points in this 500-foot area, another 30 points in this bastion, and then you have to tear it apart square, like block by block, if you're sieging it. Or you could attempt to sabotage it and perform a coup to take over the government. Then you would just need to know how many points do the Lords of Waterdeep have grouped together as a shell corporation, or like as a shell bastion that controls all of Waterdeep. So you can mechanically break down the point value of all of these things if you wanted to siege or sabotage them. And the DM doesn't have to know all this at once. We just need to be able to demonstrate how it can be broken down into smaller bite-sized pieces that can be attacked individually with whatever resources you have available to you, so that you can go block by block attacking Waterdeep and have an idea, rough idea, of what kind of opposition you're going to run into on a weekly basis as your bastion turns roll over. And it's going to end up being a standing siege between those two forces. And that's when your characters get activated on their little special missions. Like everyone always says, they always try to frame it as like, don't deal with the large size battle. Just have your characters deal with individual conflicts that they can make a difference with. Well, in this system, that's called a conflict that you make an adventure hook out of, that your characters run for this week to be able to resolve that complication. Like if you make an attack on Waterdeep and you fail, you now have a complication that needs to be resolved before you can attempt to damage Waterdeep. That becomes your character's adventure for the week. If they succeed at their sabotage mission, basically, of taking out the captain of the guard or whatever, now you can deal damage to Waterdeep, because that's how the Bastion system is framed, that once you resolve the complication, you can proceed and succeed at the order. And in conflicts in a siege, it's on a week-by-week basis that you're issuing these orders. We're at a standstill, Captain. We need somebody to break the line. That now becomes your character's deal to run their adventure with. Or if you've got multiple fronts that you're dealing with, maybe your characters are over there digging a hole or something to throw explosives into, but there's two other conflicts that you need to resolve. Well, now we're going to be issuing orders to the army to resolve those complications so that the army stays intact. Otherwise, your army is going to start taking damage, reducing your bastion points, which causes either death or defection and losing troops and lowering the rank of bastion that your army represents. So it all cascades together like that. But yeah, Amaryllis is CR 16. So it would be in this system. 16th level is where'd my bits go? Orders. There we go. CR 14 plus is 5th rank. So that's appropriate because Merilith is described as the generals of the Abyss's army. So they would have to be 5th rank, which means that we're pretty accurate in reading how these CRs are coming out. We could potentially push it up to 16, but I think 14 is a good, comfortable number because, again, this is coinciding with your level of characters, right? So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th rank. Half casting comes through at 1st, 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th. Well, in this, it's up to 1st, up to 5th, up to 9th, up to 13th, and then anything that's over 13th is 5th rank. So you can... like a 17th level character that are effectively 5th rank characters could have, like, as a sidekick, anything up to 14th level or higher, because your characters are 17th level already. They're already epic level characters that are already reshaping the world. If you could figure out how to get one, you could ride a Trask into battle with you if you wanted, because that could become a reasonable mount for a 17th level character if you could subdue and tame it somehow, which we have rules for in the system for learning how to recruit the Tarask. Are we considering strategies in defense? That would be at the complication level, where your characters are actually taking actions at an individual level to enact things. Otherwise, kind of like maintaining a lifestyle, it's intentionally vague so the DM can narrate it as you please. If you succeed at the die roll to attack a bastion, you will damage it. Narrate it accordingly. If you fail the die roll, you were unable to attack, and it creates a complication, of which could be including losing bastion points. If you fail to resolve the complication that's created by your army's failure, you will lose troops in the form of Bastion points. And if your army gets reduced down to 0 Bastion points, it is dispersed and you've lost your army. So there's that. That's the general gist of it. So if you succeed and you deal, like, say, 6 Bastion points of damage to the thing that you're attacking, and that thing has like 50 points to it, it's a 5th rank Bastion, those 6 points of damage will probably destabilize their supply chain and potentially cause them to have to pause and reflect for a few minutes while they for the rest of the Bastion turn while they bolster their defenses. But like 6 points versus a 50-point army is insignificant. If it has 50 points, it still has, like, because at 40 plus points, it's 5th rank. So if you're only dealing, like, say, 6 points of damage at a time, it's going to be able to recover itself fast. It's going to be able to recuperate faster than you're dealing damage. So you're going to have to pile on a number of orders, multiple attempts to try to deal any damage to it. And then every time you fail, it creates a complication that needs to be resolved. You're now eating up the resources of your army, and you may end up just killing yourself because you can't deal with the fallout of failing your attack. And if the DM, however the DM wants to narrate that, you can kind of leave it open. It's like, hey, this is what we're looking at. How do you want to attack this? And, oh, you failed your die roll. Well, me as the DM, I'm going to now narrate how badly you attempted this. So the player can say, this is my tactic. This is how I want to narrate my attack. If my die roll succeeded, I do the thing that I said I did and I'm successful. If I fail the die roll, I create a complication. If that becomes my adventure, I have now set the frame of what my own adventure is going to be, because I said I'm going to attack this army that way, but I fucked up. So this is the bed that I made. I now have to sleep in it. And if I can succeed at this adventure and overcome that complication, then yes, I will deal damage to you the way that I said that I did, because my characters got involved directly. If the characters don't get involved, then you have to issue an order for the army itself to try to shore up its own defenses, which is also a Bastion die. And if they fail that die roll, then no, we've taken damage and we're fucked. And you're going to lose Bastion points and potentially whittle down your army. So we're trying to figure out the structure. That's roughly how we're looking at how we do these things. So we're looking at, what is that? A lot of moving pieces. I appreciate the question, Zuchi. Thank you. But I suspect you wouldn't ask if you didn't think it was interesting. So that's that encourages me to keep performing as such. Let's put this on the B for bold. Attacking, defending, damaging, repairing. Where are we at? 730. We're doing great. Give me a second. I need to get some more water. I'm out. And I can feel that I need to add some water. Nah, I'm just... Ha! Hell with you, Uchi. You bastard. I'll be right back, guys. I'm just putting ice and water into a cup. You punk. But hey, Uchi, I'll tell you this, my guy. If you're interested in participating in the Spelljammer version of the Storm King's Thunder that I'm going to run, this is going to be important, because we're going to be structuring the Storm King's Citadel as a bastion. And one of the facilities that's going to be in that bastion is going to be a mecha hangar, where your characters are going to get their mecha to go fight giant kaijus in space. So hopefully you heard all that. I'm not sure how well you can hear me when I walk away. So let's see. Okay, so I think we can start grabbing and parsing information. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, I'll be running 5e24. This is designed for 5e24. we'll be updating the Spelljammer book to be compliant with 5e24. The biggest issue is I need to recalibrate repairing. I want to be able to repair more hull points or more ship hit points with the actions that you take to repair, or the spell points that you spend to repair your ship. And I also need to sorry, I have to shift my stuff around here. There we go. I also need to pay attention to object interaction, because I believe they changed the language on how object interaction works in 5e24, and that unless you're if you aren't tying an object interaction to some other action that you're taking, it requires its own standard action to perform. So I need to add in language to the Spelljammer system that specifies while you're piloting. I think the way I'm going to do it, because we were using object interaction as a means of replacing movement speed, because you're just sitting in a chair, but you're still moving your ship. So that's movement that has to be accounted for on the tactical grid. So the way that we were doing it was that object interaction spent piloting the ship is equivalent to moving at the ship scale. But since they changed how object interaction works, what I think I'm going to do instead is parse movement just as movement. And the pilot can divide their movement between the ship moving and their own movement each turn, which is kind of how it works right now. But like because we calculate everything in the Spelljammer system as squares. So because the scale can change, it could be anywhere from 5 feet, it could be 10,000 miles, or anywhere in between. The scale changes depending on how fast your ship is moving. So given that, I think where I'm going to have to change is that you're now using your movement. You're using a move action to both pilot the ship as well as move about on the ship itself. And so if I'm using my move action, I could say move 15 feet to get to the helm, use a bonus action to synchronize with the helm, and now I still have 3 squares left. I can use those 3 squares to move 3,000 miles, or whatever scale we're working at right now. But I think that's a way of being able to parse that stuff out. But for the most part, the Spelljammer book that I built is still really complex. It's just like little tidbits like that divide 5e24 from 5e14. But if I'm going to be offering a Spelljammer 5e24 book that's complete and taking these things into account, that's the minute language that I actually need to delve into and parse so that it is actually compliant. Because the book as is fine for 5e14. But if I'm updating it to 5e24, and the Mecha Kaiju book and the subclasses will also be 5e24, it's important that I parse that shit out. So anyway, there you go. That's a tangent though. But yeah, Storm King's Thunder will definitely be... We'll be able to use martial powers with it. We'll be using, we can use the color mana system with it. It will be framed around the Storm King's Thunder. We'll be using the Bastion campaign system, and we'll be using the Mecha Kaiju rules that I've been developing. All those things pulled together to be able to build characters from level 5 to 13 or something like that. Whatever the range of Storm King's Thunder is. Do love space hippos with a penchant to make things go boom. Hell yeah, my dude. Yeah, GIF are cool, or GIF. It's GIF. Everyone fucking knows it's GIF. Just like Planescape City is the City of Doors is Sigil, and we all know the only reason they changed it is because Wizards of the Coast wanted Sigil to be the name of their stupid VTT, and they didn't want to have a conflict, so it was easier for them to call Sigil the City of Doors Sigil and tell us and try to basically gaslight us into thinking that it was always supposed to be Sigil, when everyone since 1992 has been calling it Sigil with a soft G. We all know. So, again, I don't like the corporation. I just love the IP, and I love the game engine. WotC can rot, but I love Magic the Gathering, and I love everything about D&D. So, I'm willing to humor their existence until they throw it away because they can't manage their own IP. And the words are going to go hog wild, y'all. If I can use the Space Cat people with Psionics, I'll play. Sure. Tabaxi with the Psionic feats? Go for it. I have no problem with that at all. If you're talking about something more specific, I'll have to see it first. But up to you. You can participate in my playtest as you please, Uchi. You've more than earned a space at my table. Where are we at? Oh, that's right, we're grabbing shit. So let's start. Let's just start parsing stuff. So I'm just gonna divide us attacking or sabotaging a bastion. Yeah, let's grab this chunk of change here. This is nope. Attacking. Did I not just carve that out? Yeah. No, wait. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. I've got some duplicate shit going on in here. We're gonna end up breaking this all down. Sustain a supply chain. I feel like this is here. Why do I keep having the same order appearing over and fucking over again? Did I not press delete the right way? Must spend. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of that. Let's go to defending the bastion. Maybe this isn't the way to break it down. We'll see. We'll see. Damaging, defending, orders, repairing, damaged bastions. Damaging. Here's repairing. I'm gonna put my classic marks in here. That indicates a section break. Recruiting, you can issue the recruit order to rally troops. Damage by rank of force. Let's cut that free. I see text. I'll catch up with you. Let's go down here to facility benefits. No. Settlements, harvests. I want to get into franchises for building armies. Armies. There we go. Like that. Repairing. Damage by rank of force. Once the lifestyle is maintained, when establishing control of a bastion or settlement, the target is unwilling. There we go. Let's go under repairing. No, damaging. And then let's go back down to here. Once the lifestyle is maintained, when establishing control of a bastion or settlement, the target is unwilling. Sabotage can result in coup versus siege. Let's cut that out. And then let's go to sabotage there. We'll go up here to attacking and defending. Scroll back down. Order of damage. Damaging facilities. Then we have order of damage. We have repair. Get rid of those. Armies to create an army. The Bastion must create a franchise that represents the army. That's going to be under franchises up here for the armies itself. There we go. And okay, cool. So that's all the comments that we have about that. So now we can actually start. Now we can start breaking. Sonic cat person is Chris. Which man, you have a fantastic night, my dude. Right on, my guys. Right on. Repair. So let's see. Issue. Maintain ordered repair. Can issue multiple orders per Bastion turn, reducing Bastion die with each additional order, which is codified already. If you're issuing like 3 crafting orders and you're a 3rd rank Bastion, or let's make it a 2nd rank Bastion just because you could. Your first one's going to be is D20 plus D6 plus 2. Second one's going to be a D20 plus D4 plus 2. And the last one's just going to be a D20 plus 2. And you can continue issuing orders from there, but it's always going to be a D20 plus 2 at that point. Which means that you barely got shit helping you hit your die roll. You're probably going to fuck something up along the way. And if you can't get to all the complications, you're basically at a standstill until you can resolve the problem. So if you start overclocking the amount of orders, so the problem is the more orders you issue, the worse your die roll is going to become for the same type of issue. The more likely it is that you have a complication, which means you have to issue more orders to resolve complications. So at some point, you're going to get to a point where I've got more problems than bitches, and I don't know what the fuck to do. So you're going to have to lay off some so that you have less orders to issue so you can keep your stuff manageable. And that's just a learning curve. If your team gets slapped down too hard in the beginning. Like at one point, like this turn in my Spelljammer Eberron campaign, the team only had 1 complication this turn. So like, hell yeah, let's go tackle that problem. But last Bastion turn, they had 6 complications. They're like, not only are we trying to do stuff, but we've got 6 complications to resolve. Like, we are overclocked. And so they were trying to issue orders to resolve the complications, which further overclocked them. And a lot of them failed, so they just ended up losing a lot of resources that turn because they couldn't mine everything. It's like, we are operating at a deficit right now. We need to tighten our shit up. So now they're trying to expand their rank of mining, their mining ability, the commerce order or the mining order, to increase their die roll on that so they can keep on top of their shit better. They have so many mines that they're operating now that it's starting to get away from them. So pretty fun. Let's see, repairing damage to the Bastion. Issue maintain order to repair. Can issue multiple orders per Bastion turn, reducing Bastion with each order repaired. Bastion rank. And damage repaired. I mean, it's all the same. It's going to look like a repeating pattern here, but it's supposed to. It's supposed to be as redundant and repetitive as possible so that we can start drilling into the DM's head that's looking at this as like, this is your core mechanic right here. All you got to do is this shit. Just do that. Just build this scaffold, this cascading die scaffold, and you can just make up stuff on the fly because the mechanics stay the same. You can insert it into any kind of mechanical system that you want. It's supposed to be redundant and repetitive to drive it in. So let's see. Issue order to maintain. Issue maintain order to repair. No Bastion test. No Bastion test to repair. Issue maintain order repair. It automatically succeeds repairing a number of Bastion points per order as determined determined by the current rank of the Bastion. And again, it's important to specify the current rank because if I'm a 5th rank Bastion with 55 points, and you just dealt 16 points of damage to me, that drops me down to 39 points. That makes me a 4th rank Bastion. So when I'm trying to repair stuff, I'm going to repair D10 plus 4 points, not D12 plus 5. Not until I get back up to 5th rank will I be able to repair D12 plus 5 points. And while you're damaged, if a facility, and then okay, now we have, and then we have the cascade of damaging. So like if I damage a facility and it's been disabled until the Bastion points for that facility are repaired, you're going to operate at that lower level of rank. So like I can have 17 points in my storehouse, but if my Bastion has been knocked down to 4th rank, I'm only going to operate as a 4th rank, even though I have enough points invested into the storehouse to be able to act as a 5th rank Bastion. My Bastion is currently only operating at 4th rank, so I'm going to be using the D10 plus 4 instead of the D10 plus 5 because I'm D12 plus 5 because I'm temporarily damaged. So that's an important point. Issue maintain order to repair. It automatically succeeds. Repairing a number of Bastion points per order determined by the rank of the Bastion, by the current rank of the Bastion. You can issue multiple orders per Bastion turn, reducing the Bastion die with each additional order issued. And you decide how the points are spent. You decide what is repaired first based on what for example, if both the armory and barracks are damaged, you can choose which to repair first, and any remaining points can go towards repairing the other. Roughly. This is horrible language, but this is roughly how it works. So when you're repairing stuff, you decide what to prioritize. You might prioritize getting your floating points back so you can issue more orders. You might prioritize sustaining your lifestyle so that you don't take a hit on the level of lifestyle that you have, so you don't create new complications as a result of your lifestyle taking a hit. Because every time your lifestyle drops, it creates a complication, and it can create multiple complications for dropping multiple degrees. So if I was maintaining an aristocratic lifestyle for my Bastion, which is rank 5 lifestyle, and if I end up losing 16 Bastion points and the first thing that gets taken away is maintaining my lifestyle, then I have to repair 5 points I have to repair at least 5 Bastion points. Otherwise, I lose my aristocratic lifestyle, and I have to roll. And if I roll a comfortable lifestyle, that's 2 degrees lower than because you have aristocratic, then it drops down to wealthy, then it drops down to comfortable, and then it drops down to aristocratic, wealthy, comfortable, modest, and then poor, and then squalid and wretched. So if I drop from aristocratic down to a comfortable standard of living, that creates 2 complications because I dropped 2 degrees. And now I need to fight to to try to maintain that comfortable lifestyle while trying to rebuild myself back up at the aristocratic. There you go. So you can choose which points you repair first. So, I mean, that's essentially issue maintain order to repair. It automatically succeeds, repairing a number of bastion points per order, determined by the rank of the bastion. You can issue multiple orders per bastion turn, reducing the bastion die with each order issued. You decide what is repaired first. For example, if both the armory and the barracks are damaged, you can choose which to repair first, and any remaining points can go towards repairing the other. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's literally all. I mean, that's literally all I have to write about repairing. It's so simple. You issue an order to repair. You report as many points. Fix shit until you run out of things to fix, and then you're done. Period. So let's go. So the next thing would be damaging. When an attack is successful. So I don't. There's so much the same between Siege and Sabotage. I don't feel like I should break them out into separate, because it's going to be like 90% redundant information that in this instance I don't want to, just like we simplified facilities to just be what's changed in each facility to specifically mention. Otherwise it's just common stuff that's universal. I want to universalize attacking as well. And I guess it's just a matter of how do you frame it. When an attack is successful, you deal damage to the facility based on the rank of the attack as listed below. We'll call it attack rank. Damage order is going to be D4 plus 1, D6 plus 2, D8 plus 3, plus 4, plus 5. When attacking is successful, okay, so I don't have to worry about target rank because that's attacking, not damaging. We're parsing out the information here very succinctly. To seat, okay, so let's see. Let's see. Yeah, it's just damaging. That's just damaging. We'll deal with attacking in a moment. Order of damage. Here? Yeah, whatever. Damaging and repairing. When an attack is successful, you deal damage to the facility. Thank you, Timely Timer. I've got about 40 minutes left. I was planning on stopping at 8:30 and it's 7:52 here in Seattle, so I've got another 40 minutes left to me. Hey, what's up? Nothing. Suchi's saying goodbye. Well, God bless you. When an attack is successful, you deal damage to the facility based on the rank of the attack as listed below. And then we have order of damage. When a bastion is damaged, let's see. When a bastion is damaged, unless otherwise specified, when a bastion is damaged, I'm thinking when a bastion is damaged, the bastion points are removed from the target in the following order. First, any floating bastion points. Second, bastion points used. Any unused bastion, any currently unused bastion points. So like just having a pocket of bastion points that you're not using at all just to absorb hits isn't a bad idea. Isn't a bad idea. When a bastion is damaged, the bastion points are removed from the target in the following order. First, any currently unused bastion points. Second, bastion points used to sustain a lifestyle. Oh, I've got an idea. I kind of like that idea. And this would be Sabotage specifically. That feels right. If I'm just attacking you, like Siege or whatever, you're going to whittle down in this order of operations. You're going to get rid of the extraneous shit first before you actually start damaging anything. But if you're running a Sabotage operation, you can target something specifically. Whether it's spare points, your lifestyle, any specific facilities or orders that are being issued, or like projects that are being like if it's gonna take me a season to complete making a Hammerhead spelljamming ship, if I'm performing if I'm just attacking the facility, if I'm just attacking the Bastion as a whole, I'm not gonna get to that Hammerhead ship until I can dig through all of its extraneous defenses, its spare points, its buffer points, its lifestyle. And then we get into any specifically sustained orders like the Hammerhead ship, and then I can attack the Hammerhead ship. But I have to get through all this other stuff first. If Bastion points sustaining any orders, Bastion points used to sustain any other ongoing order. Yeah, third. Bastion points currently not being used. Maybe that's better language. Fourth, Bastion points used to improve facilities. Randomly targeted, destroying deal as many points of damage to the target. Bad language. Working your way down the list. This is, I would never write it this way, but this is enough for now. Deals many points of damage to the target, to the current target, before moving further down the hierarchy. For example, a third rank Bastion with 27 points. Bastion points, BP, has, say, 20 points, has 20 points across 10 facilities, 3 points maintaining a comfortable lifestyle, and 4 unused points, and 4 unused points. If the Bastion takes 6, let's say 6, takes 6 points of damage, the 4 unused points would be removed first, followed by 2 points used to maintain the comfortable lifestyle. Ending the sustained lifestyle, ending the sustained benefit, requiring a new lifestyle check next Bastion turn. There. Damaging bastions. When an attack is successful, you deal damage to the bastion based on the rank of the attack is listed below. Let's do it. Let's do it this way. Regardless of how many, it shouldn't be order of damage. It should be hierarchy, which is also horrible. But we already used the word order. I don't want to have double. I don't want to have a double use of order inside the same frame reference. That's just clumsy. So hierarchy of damage. Regardless of how many orders are issued to damage a bastion, each successful attack deals the amount as listed for the current rank of When an attack is successful, you deal damage to the Bastion based on the rank of the attack as listed below. Damage per order. Rank of the attacking army. The rank of the attacking army as listed below. Attack army rank. That's the right language. So what's the difference there? I could have an army issue multiple orders to an army to attack, and they have depreciating returns. So you're going to be less and less likely to succeed at an attack with each order issue, increasing the chances of having a complication. As long as I keep succeeding in my attack rolls, I can keep dealing the same amount of damage. Once I start failing die rolls, once I start failing attacks, that actually puts my own army at risk of being deteriorated down to a lower rank. And once that happens, the actual damage that I'm dealing is lessened because my army's fighting power is lessened. Bleh. There you go. That's how that works. Blah, blah, blah. Flavor text. Below is info about. Below, details. Damaging and repairing bastions. Damaging bastions. When an army is successful, you when an attack is successful, you deal damage to the bastion based on the rank of the bastion, as listed below. Regardless of how many orders are issued to damage a bastion, each are issued to attack a bastion. Each successful attack deals the amount as listed for the current rank of the attacker. Let's just say that for now. Hierarchy of damage. When a bastion is damaged. Now keep in mind, you have to create a separate bastion as a franchise to create an army, because that army is unto itself its own logistics, its own supply chain, its own lifestyle of survival. So when you create an army, it is given a set of bastion points, whatever your bastion can spare to create that rank. And once it has those points, it sallies forth, and then that becomes its own hit point supply. So if it starts taking damage anytime it fails an attack, is going to take damage. And that's eventually going to whittle the army down to nothing. So as it goes on, unless it's replenished, unless it can be restocked with new troops, it is going to eventually burn itself out. It's going to run out of troops to kill, and it's going to die. But while it maintains that current rank, it will continue to deal the appropriate amount of damage. There you go. That makes sense. Regardless of how many orders are issued to attack a bastion, each successful attack deals the amount as listed for the current rank of the attacker. Hierarchy of damage. When a bastion is damaged, when damage is dealt to a bastion, the bastion points are removed from the target in the following order. First, bastion points are currently not being used. Second, bastion points used to sustain a lifestyle. You know what? That's a flaw, because you don't actually spend... hold on. Yes, you do. You do spend points to maintain. Like if, for example, that Hammerhead ship that costs 80,000 gold. That is a very rare quality, or fourth rank construction. and it will take you a season to build it. That means that it's a 4th rank task for more than a week. That means you have to spend 4 points to sustain that build so that you always have enough manpower and resources and materials available to continue with that task for an entire season. It will eventually succeed. Once you succeed the die roll, it will complete if it's uninterrupted. But if you're sabotaged or attacked, then if there's no lifestyle maintained and there's no spare points, and now all there's left is your facilities and the ongoing order to build that ship. That ship is the next thing that's going to get torn down. And as soon as you lose any of those 4 points, that task is scuttled. You'll reclaim those points at the beginning of the next turn. Once they're repaired anyway. Once you repair your points, any points that were lost are repaired. And then you would then have to issue a new order to resume repairing, building that ship. And since it's a 4th rank difficulty, the DC is 25. So if you fail at rolling that 25, you're now going down a cascading path of complications to get that ship up and running again. And so being sabotaged is a legitimate problem, because if it's a high DC you're trying to hit, any sabotage is just going to fuck you up. And it could cause you to have like weeks and weeks of delay until you can reestablish order to get that ship up and running again. So like in this scenario, it would be like if the Grand Wizard of Evil is attempting to raise an army of undead, and it's performing this ritual, maybe it has established a crypt that it's able to do this. So if you're going in and attacking that Archmage of Evil, you could go in with the specific intent of damaging, of sabotaging the crypt, so you can't continue to create undead until that crypt is repaired. You can't create any more undead that way. So now, if and now you're losing control of your troops and blah blah blah, because like maybe you target that crypt, and as long as you have a crypt, you can control undead at your bastion without having to worry about them breaking free of control. But if you've got 500 skeletons in your evil lair, and I just destroyed your crypt, those undead are no longer under your control because you've lost the magic that has bound them to your bastion. They're now just free-floating undead. And they're as likely to kill you as they are the person that created them. And that becomes a massive security risk. So that's actually a really fun way that you could attack a dungeon, by breaking it up into different facilities and having the team going through the dungeon, attacking these facilities that you run across. So you can start building a dungeon around this bastion idea of I've got an armory in there, and I've got a training area, and I've got barracks for my troops, and I've got a war room and a trophy room. Like that's my 5-room dungeon right there, plus all the connective tissue to make it work. And if like I'm going through this room right now, I'm going to spend turn to search. It looks like this is an armory. Well, let's tear this armory apart. Let's take the stuff that we want and burn the rest. They just lost their armory, so they're not going to be as able to defend themselves against attacks in the future until they can repair that. But while you're running around inside their dungeon tearing stuff up, they can't fix anything because you're there burning them to the ground and killing all their people. So now you can now we have a means of arcing between the Bastion system and like an active smash and grab for your characters to perform a task of like, here's your complication, we got to burn that crypt down. Well, now let's just make a dungeon crawl, and here's the location where the crypt is at. Destroy that crypt. Okay, how long do we have to spend there? Maybe you have to spend like a short rest there, uninterrupted, like maybe like D4 plus X hours to completely destroy this place. So you basically have to hold this ground for that many hours while your team is destroying it, for instance, something like that. We could figure that out, but that's another level of depth, bridging from character to Bastion and being able to transition back and forth between the two. So hierarchy of damage, Bastion points to sustain a lifestyle, Bastion points used to sustain any other ongoing order, and then we finally get down to the actual facilities themselves and damaging those. It doesn't take a lot to destroy a shoe shop. All you really got to do is throw a Molotov cocktail through the window and it's going to burn all their boots down. And if you're a second rank mafia running a protection racket and you need an example, you'll lob D6 plus 2 points worth of damage into, with that Molotov cocktail. That's how much damage you're going to deal. And if that simple little shoe shop only has 3 points, only has 3 Bastion points to represent its commerce, then you've just destroyed that Bastion. Now they're going to have to find 300 gold pieces somewhere to be able to rebuild. And without having a shoe shop, how the fuck are they supposed to get 300 gold pieces? It becomes a big problem. But if you go to another Bastion and say, hey, I need Bastion points to be able to rebuild this, it's like, well, I'm a 5th rank bank and a Bastion point's worth 1,000,000 gold pieces to me. There's no way I'm giving you a Bastion point. There's no value there. But I could potentially downgrade a Bastion point to give to you for a couple hundred gold. Sure, I could do that, but you're going to have to make it worth my while. And now you're negotiating with a bank about being able to fund your burned down shop. How do we know you're not just going to get burned down again? We're going to see some sort of return on this. Maybe we could like instill debt. We can start having a debt system for deficits for Bastion points. That's a fun idea, but it would use the same cascading system. So anyway, a lot of ways to shake it out. But once we have this thing built, like you should be able to freewheel and just say, well, it's a 5th rank Bastion. You're only getting 3 points out of it. So now you have to, aristocrat, wealthy, comfortable. You can't have a comfortable lifestyle until you've paid off those Bastion points back to the bank, for instance. So at best you can be have a modest lifestyle. We're living hard right now because we have to because we have debt. So we have a cap on our lifestyle. Like that'd be really easy to be able to spontaneously add in. So that'll probably be like examples, like example uses of Bastion points is like Appendix 2. Appendix 1 would be item equipment and stuff for building things. Appendix 2 would probably be like examples of Bastions. And then example 3 would be like examples of manipulating Bastion points in game or in scenarios. For instance, like that would be like a niche circumstance, getting in debt and using Bastion points to pay off the debt. Sabotage. Called shots don't roll Bastion dice and damage. So Sabotage. If the Bastion takes 6 points of damage, instead of dealing damage in the order according to the damage hierarchy. Excuse me. And I'm not sure about this language, but it's what we're using for now. Hiccups. Decisions like this is why we hire editors, so we can have an external voice. Help codify these things cleanly. You can always gain value from from editors. Editors are always good. You always want editors. They're worth the money. And instead of dealing damage according to the damage hierarchy, you can specify what is damaged first. You can issue an attack order to sabotage a specific. You can issue an attack order to sabotage a Bastion, choosing what is damaged first. Doing so deals an amount of damage equal to the rank of the Bastion of the attacking Bastion without rolling a Bastion die. So if a fifth rank Bastion is attempting to sabotage a rival's crypt. Then if the attack is successful, that 5th rank Bastion can deal 5 points of damage to that crypt. If it's a 5th rank or lower facility, this would be another good reason why you want to dump extra points into a facility to bolster its defenses so it can't be so easily sabotaged. It becomes a Bastion point sinking hole. It's a money pit, as it were. But once you get the 5th rank, you don't have anything else to do with your points. So you may as well add extra points as buffers to protect it from being sabotaged. Because once you're a 5th rank facility, or once you're a 5th rank Bastion, you probably are going to get sabotaged and targeted by attacks by rivals. I mean, that could happen at any level, but especially at 5th, when you become a larger and larger growing threat. Like, Ravnica is a great example of this. All 10 guilds are constantly attacking each other in one manner or another. Most of it's going to be reputation attack and sabotage that way, but like in the case of Gruul or Rakdos or Boros specifically, the red factions out there, they're specifically attacking you, like physically burning you down or killing your people. Like, that's very specific, but most of the guilds are just attacking each other's reputation and their standing in the community, which is character assassination, which is a type of sabotage. So okay, great. So that's basically, those are the basic rules of attacking. So that's been resolved, or damaging. So now what are we looking at? We're looking at defending. So defending. The rank of a bastion determines and creates a complication. Let's see. If the attack is equal to or above damage DC, the attack modifier is the amount of damage dealt to the facility. I can remove that. The rank of a bastion. Okay, so the rank of the bastion determines the defense, defense score of the rank of the bastion determines its defense score. If an attacking as determined by the rank of the bastion as listed below. Defense class. The rank of the bastion determines its defense class, determined by the rank of the bastion as listed below. Bastion rank, defense class. I don't need that language there. If the result is less than the defense class, a complication occurs. Army siege. If the attack was a siege, the army takes damage instead of the defending bastion. Sabotage. If the attack is sabotage, the army takes damage instead of defending the army's bastion. Takes damage instead of the defending bastion. Yeah, it's just the army takes damage. The army takes damage instead of the defending bastion. Now, for sabotage, the complication is the army taking damage instead of the army taking damage. Yeah. If the attack is a siege, the complication is the army takes damage. Is the army taking damage instead of the defending bastion? Equal to the bastion, comma, determined by the rank of the defending bastion. Sabotage. If the attack is sabotage, roll on the complications table. Roll on the sabotage complication table below, with the bastion event described as period. So now we know that when we get into complications, we need to have a sabotage and a siege complication. That makes sense. Let's see. Perfect. Oh, it's almost time for me. I got 5 minutes left, and I'm going to bounce. But we have new complications to add. I like this, that we have a separate list for complications. This is Fallout Failure. Siege, do we need siege no, because the complications for siege is damage. No, we need siege complications, because if you fail the siege attack roll, yeah, because sabotage could be, yeah, when your sabotage fails, and then the siege attack can create a complication. If you fail the attack roll with siege, it's damage. If you fail with the sabotage, it creates like your saboteurs could be captured, or it gets turned around on them, or blah 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 blah. We will have to come up with a bunch of them. Figure it out. That's roughly this. This is like not going to be. I think we're going to do this as not going to be in normal order. But yeah, we'll get back to that. Stay on course. If the result is less than the defense, a complication occurs. Siege. If the attack is a siege, the complication is that the army. The complication is the army taking damage instead of the defending bastion, determined by the rank of the defending bastion. Sabotage. If the attack is sabotage, roll on the sabotage complication table below. And that was for attacking. There we go. The process to attack and defend is the same. Issue an order to attack. No. When you when a bastion issues an order to attack, roll, make a bastion make a bastion check, a bastion test. Against the defense DC of the target bastion, period. Multiple orders can be issued to the same army. Each bastion turn, reducing the bastion die rolled as normal for issuing repeated, depleting the bastion die, reducing the bastion die rolled for each additional by one size for each additional order issued. Thank you, timely timer. The defense class of the bastion determines the DC of the bastion test. I don't actually need attack rank here because we don't deal with damage right now. Damage is down below. This just got simple. There. When a bastion loses bastion points, the total number is temporarily reduced until they are repaired. That is redundant language. I can remove that. I can keep that attack modifier. I can get rid of the damage roll because we have that down below. Yeah, this is how to do it. There. Okay, so there's attacking. And then here's defending. Damaging. A Bastion. Reduced to 0 BP. Is destroyed. All Bastion points and Bastion points, facilities, and items within are lost. And then repairing. That is the basics. There's more fleshing out that we need to do. But that's the basic scaffold of how attacking and defending works. Once the lifestyle is maintained, don't need that. Let's see, sabotage. Sabotage can target specific facilities or ongoing orders or sustained. Sabotage can target sustained orders or specific facilities within a bastion to disrupt them until repaired. For example, if performing a coup to overtake the government of a settlement, sabotage can remove the current, for example, can remove the current, sabotage can disable the current government. Preventing it from issuing any orders to the settlement it governs. Period. That's a little bit redundant, but there it is. Siege is okay. I can get rid of all of this shit because it doesn't matter anymore. I don't need to have any of that anymore. I see text. Hold on. Sieges are armies of wage war against a bastion or settlement with an army raised by the sponsoring bastion as detailed in franchises and settlements above. Period. What's up? Hey, Driftstream. Honestly, love your stream, man. Hey, thank you. Broken out between working, but also doing something I enjoy. A few times last week, I got stuff done because I was like, Phil's working hard. I should be doing it. God bless you. Thank you so kindly. That's really nice. Having said that, I've reached the end of my stream, so I'm going to be bailing here in a second. But God, that's really nice to say. Thank you. Thank you. I a lot of my art and D&D time spent growing up when I was a kid in junior high and high school was in study hall. And so a study hall sort of environment is kind of like how I like to operate. Maybe you can hear a little bit of chill music in the background. Tapping of the keys is kind of an ASMR experience. I'm glad that my shit is low key enough that it can be productive for you to play along. So that's ideally what I want. So plus I just want to show how these things get built. Plus it's fun building them, and I like sharing that process. I don't think people really understand how much work goes into building PDFs and shit if you're not just like pumping out AI garbage. So it's really something I wanted to lean into. But yeah, there we are. So I like having the armies at the end here because that's just going to pour right into the Bastion Conflicts of doing sieges and sabotage. But I think this is decent. I think I think there's enough things here that anyone that's just casually looking at the document can kind of grok what's going on here. So that's conflicts. When we come back next time, we're going to go back up here and we're going to flesh out, just like we did now, we're going to flesh out the mechanics for how franchising and settlements operates. They use the same structure. Again, it's just a matter of frame of reference and size. And franchising can be like governments, like governing over settlements. It can be building armies, as well as separate bastions in different settlements. You can cascade these things by doing shell corporations that operate over subsidiaries. So you can have like this Russian doll of cascading, so where the total number of assets that are under control of your shell corporation is going to far outnumber what the actual shell has. But none of them are so powerful individually that they'll ever actually rival the parent bastion that controls them. And that's a stable network. If one particular bastion in a franchise starts to, again, like we talked about this earlier, is if it exceeds I need to actually write that down again. Governorship. If a franchise gains more bastion points than the parent bastion, the parent loses control and the franchise becomes a separate rival bastion. Rivals, and this is important, rivals can be friendly, hostile, indifferent, or friendly. Right. This is exactly the same way as the 5e24 mechanics for influencing creatures is, in that a creature either starts off as hostile, indifferent, or friendly towards you, and it's either willing or unwilling to perform the thing that you ask of them. So between the three dispositions and their willingness, that determines how that creature is going to respond to your influence check, whether it's persuasion, intimidation, or deception. I really like how 5e24 has coded and structured that language that way. It's very succinct. And again, it can scale up. We can use those same mechanics when looking at one bastion to another. Like if you are attempting, rivals can be hostile, indifferent, or friendly. Let's see. And can be willing or unwilling to comply with orders. Like that deserves further in-depth experience. Like if we're trying to take over a settlement, that settlement might be willing to be ruled by you, but it might be indifferent, or it could be friendly. It's unlikely that it would be willing to be taken. Sparta. If you are willing to be taken over, but you are hostile, then you have to prove that you are more powerful than us to earn the right to take control. As opposed to Athens, for example, might be friendly, where they're looking for something more powerful to take control of them, if only someone was. For instance, like that's a fun way to break that down. Actually, that's a really good analogy. Sparta versus... I think 300 would approve. But we'll get into that further. So, and as we continue building this out, we'll see opportunities. We'll have little, like we can have little sidebar boxes with all these quaint little examples of like how these systems cascade through each other. We can build scenarios like that. There's a lot of moving pieces, but that's why I'm trying to standardize the mechanics as much as possible so that as you present it, like what happens if we were to do X, Y, or Z? Well, hopefully the answer should be, well, it's going to be a Bastion check, and we know the rank of that, how that works, and we know the consequences that can come about of this of either damaging something or creating complications that need to be resolved, depending on how the action is framed. Hopefully that's all going to end up cascading and, again, curving into each other. So like one action can be approached in a number of different ways, but all the mechanics of what those ways are built into us. And then it just becomes a DM's call on how do I want to handle this? Just like it would be like, I want to climb this cliff. How am I going to handle that? Well, you just climb the cliff because it's not a problem, or it's a big problem. And we're going to make a skill challenge out of it. Or you can climb it, but you're going to have to fight monsters along the way. So now you're doing a vertical dungeon. So those are the different ideas. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and kick out of here. I'm probably going to do some painting for the Eberron adventure on my own tonight, as we do. Maybe I'll listen to some Pink Floyd. But I'll be back tomorrow morning to work on the Eberron campaign. The Eberron adventure that we're writing, we'll be doing some more artifact artwork, working on the Sextant of Furnia. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll be back to continue working on the Spell Point Sorcerer supplement, finishing up the subclasses, the Forsaken subclasses that weren't included in the 5e24 book. So that's what I got on deck. And thanks, Drift, man. I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. And everyone else, Fox, everyone else that comes with the Bastion campaigns. No, but I'm going to be providing examples of Bastions in Ravnica, in Eberron, probably in Forgotten Realms. I think I'm going to be framing Descent into Avernus, like how would the Blood War work using the Bastion system, like El Terrell in Hell. They give us enough stats in Descent into Avernus to be able to break down the size of the armies and what kind of Bastion points that they would have versus El Terrell under siege. We should be able to break that down. We could also do like Greenest and Flames for Horde of the Dragon Queen Chapter 1, where your characters are first levels going into the city under siege. We can present it that way as well. So I think like Robin Hood makes for a really cool Bastion story against King John's forces versus Robin Hood, where the prize is Hamlet. And so there's this rotation between Robin Hood stealing resources from Prince John and then distributing them to Hamlet, I forgot the name of the Bastion. I forgot the name of the Hamlet in Robin Hood. But then the prince would be taking the resources away from that settlement in the form of taxes. So there's like this floating number of Bastion points that are constantly coming and going out of the Hamlet. Nottingham, thank you. Nottingham. So Nottingham would have like this floating point of Bastion points that are being taxed and then stolen out of the treasury to then be redistributed. So you have like this round robin thing going on while the players are trying to fatigue the resources of Prince John's Bastion, while Prince John is trying to send out troops to ferret out and chase the bandits out of the woods. So that's a fun scenario that's open license that I could be able to make reference to offhand. But then once we get this built, we can make all sorts of fun little sub scenarios and stuff off of my Patreon. I could start posting stuff there. But yeah, no default setting for this. It's designed to work in any kind of D20 game that roll dice, add up to hit a DC. That's basically like it can work in like this works with Shadow Dark. This works with Pathfinder. It works with Numenera. Obviously, it's built for 5e right now, but the basic scaffold system of it works in all the like DCC. All these different systems work with it. It's just a matter of how far into the weeds are you getting with like facilities specifically, but this frame of structure of attacking stuff, it works with any D20 game you can think of. So, with minor variants. But I got to bounce. That's it for now. If you got more questions, Drift, you're welcome. If you're not already, I don't know if you're in there or not, but folks are welcome to join my Discord, which is linked down below. Ask questions about stuff. There's a command section that's referring to this stuff. But I got to go. I'm out of here. I will see you guys in the morning or online. Peace.